Hello and welcome to Motors and Medicine. On today's episode, I'm going to be going over something a little bit different. I'm going to be talking about mass air flow sensor versus a MAP sensor. And what these basically boil down to are, these are the sensors found on the air inlet tube section of a vehicle right before the throttle body. And their job is to measure air coming in, and that tells the computer on the car how to meter fuel via the computer and the injectors. But it's interesting because these two computer systems, or I should say these two sensors, work a little bit differently. They are similar in their approach to what they're trying to do, which is ultimately get the car's computer to fire injectors at a certain pulse width so that you get a certain air-fuel ratio. But they do it a little bit differently. So the reason I'm doing this video today is because my wife's car, which is an Acura MDX that you see here, her car happens to have a mass airflow sensor, and many cars do. But the problem with mass airflow sensors is that the sensor itself, which I'm going to show you right here, inside the lid of the air box, these sensors are very, very accurate in their measurements, but they are also super, super sensitive to the air passing through them. And so if air is turbulent, or if the air is just not moving at the right kind of velocity, or if, in this case, I have been running a cotton oil filter made by K&N, which is actually a great filter, great product. But one thing that most people know who run these filters, if your car is equipped with a mass airflow sensor, you need to keep an eye on your mass air sensor and make sure that it's functioning and keep it clean. Because ultimately, after you drive long enough, some of that oil will work its way onto the hot wires on the mass airflow sensor and kind of create what's called a dirty signal to the computer. And that'll make the computer fire the injectors either a little bit lean or a little bit rich. Basically, the car will feel a little bit sluggish, not have the power that it used to, and the mileage will drop off, which are all the things that have happened to my wife's Acura. So I'm going to be working on it today just to get that clarified. But I wanted to kind of give you a background on how a mass air works. So basically, mass air, like I said, here in this case, it takes in, it measures air coming in based on the velocity of the air and the volume of the air. And based on those two measurements, velocity and volume, it makes adjustments to your air-fuel ratio. Real simple. But like I mentioned, if anything gets onto those hot wires making the signal dirty, or if the air coming in is turbulent, things like that will kind of make the signal a little bit wonky for the computer, and then you end up having improper running. It may not throw a check engine light, but you'll feel that the performance is not there. Now, on the flip side, here on my 21 Bronco, these vehicles, like many other vehicles, are equipped with what's called a MAP sensor. And that means manifold absolute pressure. And the way this works, similar, I mean, it still measures air entering the engine, and that's what, the sensor sends a reading over to the computer fires injectors, adjusting your air-fuel ratio. This is done a little bit differently, though. A MAP sensor, a manifold absolute pressure sensor like this one, is basically just measuring a pressure differential in the manifold itself. So as air comes in and the velocity of the air changes, which increases pressure in the manifold, it's real simple. The more you open your throttle, the faster air comes in and the greater the pressure in the manifold. Real simple. So the sensor picks that up, sends a signal to the computer, and then the computer makes adjustments. The beauty of a MAP sensor is that you don't run into issues with dirty signal or any problems if you run a K&N air filter. Like in my case, I also run a K&N on this Bronco, but because it's a twin turbo, the air has to travel through the turbos, through the intercooler, before it actually gets to the induction system. So there's really no chance of getting oil on the MAP sensor. And MAP sensors really aren't sensitive like that anyway. They don't really have that problem like mass air sensors do. Two different mechanisms to monitor and control air fuel ratio. I would say that mass air is a little bit more fine-tunable and accurate. MAP sensors tend to be a little bit more crude. They are considered a speed density fuel system. And again, speed density, it has to do with the amount of air, the velocity of the air coming in, and the pressure it creates in the manifold. So which one is better? Well, if you want to tune your car and mess with it, MAP sensor is the way to go, because you don't need a tune. If you want to, say, put a cold air intake or something on your car or do anything like that, MAP will just read that and it'll see the increase in airflow and pressure and just adjust fuel accordingly. A MAP, on the other hand, like on my wife's car, will actually require, or rather a mass airflow sensor, mass airflow sensor will require fine-tuning of the computer before it recognizes any extra air that you introduce into the system. So that's the two differences between the two. Now, I wanted to go quickly over how you service a mass airflow sensor, because like I said, I'm having issues with this car feeling a little sluggish and not having the power it used to have. So if you're going to have a mass air and you're running a K&N like I am, occasionally you have to clean the mass air sensor. The way to do that is to use a mass airflow sensor cleaner. And in this case, I use what's called Mass Airflow Cleaner by CRC. It's a really good product, and it's basically the only product on the market that's approved for this kind of service. So you use this, you hold it about 3 inches from the sensor, and you spray the sensor, and make sure you hit those hot wires several times with this fluid. It'll dissolve any oil or dirt or grime that's built up on the wires, allowing the sensor to work to its fullest potential, giving you the best mileage and the best performance that you can get. So hopefully this information helped you guys out. Now, as a little additional treat today, since I haven't been driving my Mustang because we have been getting inundated with snow here, and in fact, I had to do some snow shoveling and plowing today. But I'm going to see if my Mustang will start, and I'm going to give you guys a cold start just for fun, see how it's been doing. So here we go. Pretty awesome sound, isn't it? Awesome. Well, hopefully this video helps you guys out when you're working on your cars, if you happen to work on your own cars. But if you happen to be one of those people that likes a little extra performance and you want to put a K&N air filter on your car, find out if your car has a MAP sensor or a mass air. If it's got a MAP sensor, it's going to be easy peasy. But if you've got a mass air, it's still going to work fine, but the mass air eventually is going to need some cleaning and service. So hopefully this helps you guys out. Like always, please like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow. And I really appreciate all you guys' support. So until next time, Motors and Medicine.